In this video, I'm going to show you 2 tips on using your beads frame to get the most out of it. And both these 2 tips have something in common, and it's all about helping your students see the underlying structure and bringing their attention to it. So the first one is, because our bead string's set up where we've broken our 10 into 2 5s, we want students to be really paying attention to that. And sometimes we take it for granted that they're just going to notice that all by themselves. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and connect the structure of the beads frame here with hopefully a neural network that the students already have in place, and that's by connecting it to their fingers. Because in each one of our fingertips, we've got over 3,000 touch receptors, and each of those touch receptors sends an electrical signal all the way up into the brain. And so we want to access that highway of neural pathways that students have built with their fingers and connect it with our bead frame. So the way I do this is I actually get my students to come up and I get them to use their 5 fingertips and touch them to each of our first 5 beads here, so that they connect these 5 yellow beads with their 5 fingers. And then we do the same with the orange ones here. And so then we can start to look at patterns. We'll go, oh, if you know what 6 looks like on your fingers, then we just know that that's going to be all of the yellow ones plus one more. So we're using this as a way of connecting their understanding of their fingertips, using all that sensory information and then applying it to the bead frame. All right, step 2 is all about how we're going to direct students' attention when we're using our bead frames to count. And so I discovered this when I was helping coach some prep teachers last year. And each day, as part of their daily routine, they would orally count with their students how many days that the preps had been at school. And so let's say the preps were up to day 12, they would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 12. And so while this was happening, I was trying to pay attention to the students' eyes and really get a sense of what kind of structure they were picking up on. And it kind of felt like, because they were counting as the bead was sliding across, it was almost just this arbitrary measure to keep track of the count. And I almost felt like it wasn't really having any more impact than, say, if you had a handful of beads like this and we're just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Didn't really help pay attention to the structure at all. And so what we trained the students to do instead was not to say the number as the bead was sliding, because then our attention is just focused on this sliding bead, but rather wait until the bead had got to its location and then, as a teacher, use gesturing to show that structure. So for example, that would look like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. And look, this did take a bit of practice with the students. 5, 6, getting them to not jump ahead and say that number as the bead was sliding, but wait until it was there and then almost say the count in conjunction with the gesture. And just having that simple gesture there really helps keep track. So then let's say with a bigger number, let's skip ahead to, let's say we're up to 31. Then we could go 31, 32, 33. So we're really paying attention now to the 30 is represented by our 3 10s and our 33 there by those 3 1s. So see how you go with that and just see how much of a difference it makes when we use that gesturing, so that we're not treating this individual bead by itself as 33, because that's just one bead. It's not this one bead that makes 33, but rather it's the total, the sum of its parts, the 3 10s, those 3 1s, the 33, which is why we want to be pointing that out with our gesturing. All right, your turn. Go math it up.